Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Daily Rollup. My name is Kagan Dunlap, and Monday through Friday, we put together 5 to 7 short stories for you of things that are happening around the world, so that way you don't have to look around for it. It's right here, easy to see, easy to digest, and easy to understand. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So during the visit of the Polish President Karol Nawrocki on September 3rd of 2025, a squadron of U.S. Air Force fighter jets, including F-35s and F-16s, conducted a ceremonial flyover in the, quote, missing man formation over the South Lawn at the White House, which is a aerial tribute honoring the late Major Maciej Slab Kagan, who is the highly experienced pilot from the Polish Air Force F-16 Tiger demo team, who tragically died last week in a crash during a rehearsal for the Radom International Air Show in eastern Poland. It's been a little bit since we've talked about Iran's nuclear capabilities, so I recently saw an Associated Press report that was released that was a confidential document from the International Atomic Energy Agency detailing Iran's ongoing nuclear activities based on data up to June 13th of 2025, just before the Israeli military strike on Iran that day. Now, according to the report, Iran had accumulated 440.9 kilograms, which is about 972 pounds, of uranium that was enriched to 60% purity, which represents an increase of 32.3 kilograms compared to the IAEA's previous assessment in May of 2025. Now, uranium that's enriched to 60% is considered a short technical step away from weapons grade levels, which is 90% purity. And experts note that roughly 42 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium could theoretically be further processed to produce enough material for one nuclear bomb. Now, the broader context of this includes Iran's total enriched uranium stockpile, which is reaching 9,874.9 kilograms as of June 13th of 2025, which is an overall increase of 627 kilograms since May. Now, that being said, the International Atomic Energy Agency also has significant concerns about verifying it, as inspectors have been unable to inspect the actual and confirm the actual stockpiles for over 2.5 months following the June conflict. During the war, obviously, UN inspectors withdrew for safety reasons, and on July 2nd of 2025, Iran formally suspended all cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency under a new law that was signed by President Masoud Pezeshkian, which the agency has referred to as a deeply regrettable thing. Since then, the only International Atomic Energy Agency activity that in Iran has been observing a fuel replacement at the Bushehr nuclear power plant on August 27th through 28th of 2025, with Russian assistance, mind you. Now, I know that there's different people on different sides of the fence that think that, well, look, hey, they haven't enriched it to weapons grade, so what are you worried about? Well, yeah, but they're, a large majority of the way there. And do you think that a authoritarian regime like that having nuclear capabilities is good? I mean, that's up to you to decide, I guess. So during China's Grand Military Parade on September 3rd of 2025, they showed these massive displays of wide varieties of different types of airframes that they have in their arsenal, including things like the J-35 Alpha stealth multi-role fighter, the J-35 stealth multi-role fighter, the J-20S stealth air superiority fighter, the J-15 Tango Delta multi-role fighter, the KJ-600 airborne early warning and control, the YY-20 Alpha aerial refueling tanker, the J-10 Charlie/Sierra multi-role fighters, and the H-6N strategic bombers. The parade also included things like drones like the GJ-11 stealth attack drone and various collaborative combat aircraft, which some designs kind of resemble similar things to the XQ-58 and MQ-28 US combat drones as well, which were trucked through the square rather than flown. But yeah, they had a wide swath of different airframes. Very interesting. So a guy that runs an Instagram account called Fun with Data posted this video that basically shows what like the fertility rates are roughly for planet Earth between like 1960 and 2022. And the animation consists of kind of like a sequence of the world's maps updated in roughly 5-year increments where countries are color-coded, with orange representing births per woman less than 2.1 and purple being births per woman that are greater than 2.1. Now, in the 1960s to the 1970s, nearly the entire world was purple, with high fertility rates everywhere, and only a handful of countries, primarily in Northern and Western Europe, start shifting to orange by late 1960s, early 1970s, which was like the initial European problem where post-war economic growth, urbanization, and women's workforce participation and access to contraception kind of led to a declining birth rate. From 1975 to 1986, the orange spread further across Europe, including Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union, North America, USA, Canada, and parts of Eastern Asia, like as far as like Japan, North and South Korea, begin turning orange, and then Australia and New Zealand follow suit. The rest of the world, including Latin America, Africa, the Middle East, and most of Asia, remains predominantly purple in the 1970s up till 1986. Then 1991, major shift becomes prevalent, where the shift becomes global. Orange dominates Europe, North America, and East Asia. It expands into South America, Southeast Asia, and parts of the Middle East. China turns orange following one-child policy's impacts. Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia still hold purple, but edges start to fray. And then from 2007 to 2018, by this point, orange covers nearly the entire globe. All of Europe, the Americas, Asia, and Oceania. Only Sub-Saharan Africa and some pockets in the Middle East remain purple. And then a few other regions like Central Asia remain purple, but apparently this data is sourced from the World Bank data, and it kind of helps underscore the impact of rapid globalization and the impact that's had on birth rates and fertility rates worldwide, which across the entire globe, birth rates and fertility rates have declined significantly leading up to now, and it hasn't gotten any better. In fact, it's probably gotten a little bit worse over the past 3 years since the end of 2022. So North Korean leader Kim Jong-un recently traveled to Beijing, China, as part of visiting for the massive military parade that was taking place there on September 3rd of 2025. And part of his security measures, like his strict security protocols, was bringing his own toilet, which is a precaution designed to prevent foreign intelligence services from analyzing his waste for DNA, health indicators, or other personal information that could reveal any vulnerabilities. During his trip, which also involved a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Kim's aides were observed meticulously wiping down any chairs or any surfaces that he touched at all to erase any traces of DNA, skin cells, or hair. This level of paranoia is not a new thing. Apparently, Vladimir Putin's aides also collect his excrement too to prevent the same thing from happening. I think that Kim Jong-il, who is his father, implemented similar measures during international travels to safeguard against espionage, and Kim Jong-un reportedly uses portable toilets even on domestic trips, such as visits to military sites or factories, to ensure that his bodily waste is transported back to North Korea rather than left behind. This practice kind of highlights the extreme levels of secrecy surrounding his health, specifically because there's a lot of people that speculate he may be having issues like heart conditions and other things like that. And so this is another way for them to safeguard any of that type of information. So a one-way Ukrainian drone crashed into a Russian Kamaz truck on September 4th of 2025 in Kadivka, which is widely broadcast all over social media and online. Apparently, the Kamaz truck, which is a heavy-duty military transport vehicle, was hauling a tank on a flatbed trailer when the drone struck the front of the truck. Now, the Ukrainian medium-range loitering munition, which was identified as the Ram 2X, targeted the truck's cab. And you can see it in video footage right before it impacts. Apparently, it's about 1.45 meters long. It's got a wingspan of 2.584 meters, a height of 0.349 meters, with a maximum weight of 9.8 kilograms, a 3-kilogram payload warhead, and it can fly up to 55 minutes from ranges varying from 30 kilometers to potentially 100 to 120 kilometers in some variants. And it cruises at around 180 kilometers per hour. So apparently there was a leaked Department of Homeland Security memo that was obtained and published by the independent journalist Ken Klippenstein on September 3rd of 2025. The memo, dated August 27th of 2025, was sent from DHS Executive Secretary Andrew Whitaker to Defense Department Executive Secretary Anthony Fucilaro, and it formally requests the, quote, immediate Department of Defense support to provide existing infrastructure, specifically at Naval Station Great Lakes in Illinois, for U.S. immigration and customs enforcement and removal operations in the Chicago metropolitan area. The support is described as, quote, critical to ensuring the efficient and secure handling of aliens, end quote, in line with federal regulations and ICE's efforts to address public safety and national security. Some of the key details from the memo are the request focuses on using Naval Station Great Lakes as a central location as a hub for DHS detention processing and removal operations conducted by ICE and ERO. It also includes required facilities and support infrastructure such as the highway access, fuel, and logistical nodes and things like that. It also puts out the timeline saying that the operations would be planned for 30 days with an advance party arriving on September 2nd of 2025. And then it references several of President Trump's executive orders from January 20th of 2025 leading up to current time. In addition to DHS and DOD, a source indicated Customs and Border Protection is going to be involved, and that the memo specifies active duty troops rather than National Guard. So I don't know. I mean, I can't verify the validity of this. I've just seen this thing has been leaked all over the internet. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if this actually comes to fruition or not. I know that there's been significant pushback from the Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, which he just passed a bill or an executive order from the Chicago Mayor's office, basically telling local law enforcement not to work with federal agents to do this type of stuff. But again, your guess is as good as mine as to whether or not this is actually going to happen. All right, that's it for the daily roll-up for today, guys. I appreciate you joining us. If you've stuck around till the end of the video right here, then you are being extremely supportive, and we really appreciate that because obviously it helps support the channel, helps support what we do, and helps enable me to continue to do this. So please let us know what you thought about this video in the comments below. Please like the video, share, subscribe, leave a comment. It helps support the channel. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, and I will see you guys in the next video.